Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Marketing Mantra. Today we have a special guest on our show, Daniel Daines-Hutt from Amplify Content. He's been on our show before a couple of times, and it's always so good to have him on the show. So, just to give you a brief intro about Daniel, Dan is a self-confessed marketing nerd who teaches people how to get more traffic and engagement for their existing content. He's the founder of Amplify Content and the Amplify Content Academy. He is also the head of content for zero to mastery.io, a training platform that takes people from brand new beginners to paid software engineers earning six figures. His guide to paid content promotion was ranked among the top 10 content of all time on inbound.org and Growth Hackers. He also had a viral post, this is super interesting, that generated $3 million in client requests in just 2 weeks. His content has also been shared or referenced by online marketing thought leaders like Neil Patel, Sujan Patel, Sean Ellis, and Glenn Alsop. Today, we are going to talk about how you can optimize your content for better conversions. So, we are going to fully deconstruct conversion rate optimization, or CRO as it's called. It's a super important topic because let's face it, in content marketing, your end goal is always to get more conversions, whether it's someone purchasing your product, downloading your ebook, signing up for your service, and of course, increasing your affiliate signups. Dan, it's so good to have you back on the show. Welcome to Marketing Mantra once again.
Thanks very much, Freddie. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. It's always good to have you on the show. And whenever you've been on the show, I've got to learn new things. You are a Facebook ads expert, and until now, we've been talking about Facebook ads. And whenever I finish an interview with you, I just go back to my Facebook ads and see what I can do to optimize them. Taking in all the insights that I gather from a conversation with you. So good to have you back on the show, and I'm sure our listeners will get a lot of insights. So, for those listeners who are not familiar with what you do, can you briefly describe your work?
Okay, so like I say in the bio, I'm a massive nerd. So I'm really interested in marketing, but like not just marketing techniques and platforms and things, but like the psychology of why people do things. Because if you can drill down to the fundamentals and foundations of that, it's applicable and everything. So I've had a lot of success with Facebook ads. At one point, I think for every dollar I was spending, I was making $22 back. Not so much anymore with privacy issues and things like that, but they've been brought in. With SEO, I've had heaps of success also. Lots of different channels, but mainly because I focus back on the fundamentals of what drives people and also scientific principles. So like breaking it down, simplify what do you need to do to make things happen. So I started making some notes today about the optimization of content and also CRO. And a lot of it, I would guess 90% of your audience wouldn't think of as like the most important things. And I'll share those in a little bit. But yeah, like when you break it down to what is important and what isn't, that's when you start to see like massive ROIs.
Right. So, yeah, we are going to fully explore the topic, but I would like to start with the basics. What is content optimization in your view? And when do you think is a particular piece of content, let's say a blog post, is fully optimized?
Yeah. So it's kind of an offshoot of conversion rate optimization, which is if you get 1,000 people or 10,000 people to see something, can we adjust elements of that to make it perform better? So taking those same principles, obviously optimizing content, it depends on what your goal is. Can you optimize your content so that people take an action from it? Because content on its own, getting traffic is great. We can optimize for SEO and talk about that. But also thinking about how you actually write and structure content so that people take an action. I normally find that they're either kind of clueless and they don't get traffic and they don't get sales, or they're good at SEO and they get a lot of traffic but no sales, or they're good at ads so they get sales but no organic traffic. And it's because they have like these skill sets in certain areas, but they don't overlap the things that you need to do. So they're not looking at their content. A paid ads person will look at a piece of content like a sales page. How can I hook them in? What are the pain points? How can I draw them down the page? Do I have calls to action repeatedly? Do I remove distractions and things like that? A lot of content marketers don't do that. Likewise, these paid ad guys, though, when they're not running ads or when privacy blockers come up and things like that, they suddenly can't get sales because they've got no traffic coming in because they haven't done any promotion. They haven't optimized the post for Google as well. So you've got to work really for the people and for the channels that you're trying to run it through. Because when you do it like that, then you can run traffic to it at a profit because you know that the math behind the content and how it converts and how many readers become subscribers, how many subscribers become customers, and so on and so on. And you can see like a definite value from that. With the new Google Analytics update that's coming through, you'll actually be able to attribute sales a lot better from content as well. So you'll see actually how much value each blog post is making you from a monetary standpoint soon. So that's really exciting. Although it's going to suck transitioning across, it will be better in the long run.
Yeah, I've covered this on my podcast before. I was a fan of Google Universal Analytics, and now they're moving to GA4, right? So it's just like switching to a new search engine. I mean, you tell a Google user to start using Bing because GA4 has completely new interface. So it took me some time to familiarize with the interface and the brand new features. There's lot of behavior modeling that is going to be really helpful when it comes to conversion rate optimization and advertisers, like you said. So I think anyone who's listening to this podcast right now should create a GA4 property right away, because as you probably know, by mid next year, Universal Analytics will be discontinued and all your properties will automatically migrate to GA4. So, it's better to do it now rather than, do it then and, learn new features and new analytics reports then when it's like mandatory. So you have ample time to learn now. You have around 6 to 7 months and you can just learn the nitty gritty of GA4 right away.
Now, a good thing as well is you could also like compare and contrast the two different reports, because you'll find that you're getting a lot more clicks on the GA4 version because it's not cookie based. So they're actually seeing the clicks that are coming through. So Google Analytics, classic analytics right now might be selling you getting less traffic than you actually are because it's not capturing those browser events. So having a look at how you're actually performing now instead of in 6 months and then suddenly changing and wondering what the hell's happened, like your traffic has dropped or risen or whatever, start to have a look at it now in advance. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, so have you seen any major differences in the traffic that you see in GA4 versus the current GA that we're using?
There's a 19% traffic difference.
Is it a traffic boost or is it a decline in traffic?
It's a boost. So when I'm so speaking to like my boss and things at the moment, I keep wanting to move across to it now because as the traffic guy, it's 19% higher in GA4 than it is in the standard analytics, and I can also show like conversions based on content and things like that. But we're just kind of like holding off and learning it and things because it takes time to learn all this stuff, right?
Yeah, right. So it's better to do it right away. And SEO is one of the main traction channels that I use, and most of my episodes in the recent past have been anchored around SEO. So again, talking from an SEO perspective, now one of the most critical goals that you have when it comes to content optimization to be more visible in search engines, right? So how do you optimize your content for SEO?
So if you think about it, what we're actually trying to do is Google is a machine, the search engine is a machine. Their goal is to give their users the best experience. So they want to give the best content for their search, because if they don't, they'll go to Bing or places like that, or they bounce off. So really what we need to do is make sure that we are creating the best content that the audience wants, understanding the intent, and then optimizing the content so Google can understand it so they recommend it to the right things. Years ago, I had a clothing company and a t-shirt design was the same name as a Korean pop band. And I got a bunch of traffic one day, like 50,000 visitors in an hour. And then all of a sudden it just dropped again. And it realized it's because like they released a song. I was ranking for it. I got all these people coming to find out about this. So it's like making sure that you are ranking for the right things. Honestly, the process is really quite simple. It's if you can I use a checklist because it's, even though I've done it for years now, you can still forget. So I put like keyword in the title, try in the URL, trying to get it front loaded if possible. Keyword in the title, the first 100 words, last 150 words. We're just trying to tell Google that this article is about this thing without spamming it too much. In the meta title description of the first image, things like that. Adding in LSI terms, which it means latent semantic indexing for people who don't know. Basically, it is keywords that Google associates with the keyword that you're talking about. So it's like if you're talking about this topic, you would also normally talk about this particular thing also. So by adding some of them in and talking about it, it helps Google understand, I'm trying to think of an example now, but it's not really working. Say if you're talking about Lord of the Rings and you wanted to write about it, someone might talk about Frodo as an LSI term. So you would talk about Frodo as the ring bearer and things like that, in there. So adding that in helps them understand, okay, they are talking about this thing. Meta descriptions as well, although not really, it's not really an optimization in terms of you will get more traffic, but you will get more clicks. So this is the information that comes up in the search results. And when you're actually there, people will click through, because a lot of the time it just pulls the information if you don't do anything, and it's just a random sentence and there's no motivation to click on the result. So usually in the SERPs, you'll have the first result gets 24% of traffic and then it declines as you go down. If you've got a better description and more people start to click on it, you're going to get more traffic than you should. Google actually pays attention to that as well. And if you're starting to get more traffic, they assume your content is better, and you can start to be positioned higher than stuff that's got more backlinks. So optimizing for those kind of things. Schema markup as well, which is something I would say most people don't do because it's a pain in the ass sometimes. But basically, it's writing HTML code so that again, Google understands what the article is about. The three big search engines got together years ago and they created this schema markup, so that between them, they could associate and understand context of a page. And so by adding this in, it helps them not only understand more, but you start to rank for not just the organic search result, but you'll come up with rich snippets and things like that. The client, the customer, the people I work for at the moment, we updated Schema and optimized posts. First month I was there, I think we got a 600% increase in clicks, and and something like a 300% increase in traffic. No new content or anything like that, just re-optimizing and improving these things. And Schema alone drives millions of impressions in Google. Again, not that hard to do. You can search for blog posts and stuff on it. There's tools out there where you can literally click on the thing, say you're writing a blog post, add the details, add how-to steps. But that really, in terms of Google optimization, is all you really need to do. Yes, you can add it in a few other places, keywords and headers, adding images and context and stuff like that. But it's all it really needs to be. You can just kind of checklist this stuff off. You're just going to make sure you do it.
About Schema, I think there is a WordPress plugin, since WordPress is the most popular CMS right now. I think there is an all-in-one Schema plugin. I think that's what it's called. You can just it's just like a hygiene check that you can do. Like you have a checklist of things that you should do when you publish a blog post, right? And just like you optimize your meta tags, you can just optimize your schema as well. Like you said, it just takes like 30 seconds to 1 minute to update it, and you can see a higher boost in your rankings and also your click-through rate. Right. I was just wondering, when does link building come into the equation? Has building been an important factor in you ranking your articles, or have you had articles without, actively building links? Have you had articles ranking on top?
We haven't done any active link building yet, because I started working with these people. And so I wanted to fix the things that we've got. So any traffic we're currently getting, I want it to convert better. Any assets that we've got, I want them to perform better. Instead of just creating new assets and things like that, I want the things that we've got to do their job properly. So we haven't even started link building yet. And like I say, 600% increase in clicks, 300% increase in traffic, impressions, and things like that. Yeah. We will be link building, and it's what we're like planning going into 2023. We'll be doing it hard because then we'll get way more traffic from it. It is still the most important thing you can do. I'd say optimization and understanding what content you need to create, and link building are really the two major things for SEO.
Right. Also, when you pick since you're not actively building any links, also the keywords that you choose, do you choose keywords which are like low competition, say medium volume keywords, or do you also pick high volume keywords with a lot of competition? Since you are talking about content optimization here, and if link building is not probably one of the things that you do, at least in the starting phases, I was just wondering, what are the kinds of keywords that you're choosing?
I'm quite sneaky about it. So I don't really care about a lot of traffic. I care about a lot of sales. So I'm looking for keywords with a lot of high intent. So people who are looking to make a decision, or people who are one step away from a decision. So sometimes those keywords can be competitive, or they can be quite easy. But it's important that I have assets for them, because now my traffic's going to convert better. Then if I am going for traffic and stuff, usually kind of mid-tail, long-tail kind of keywords, because until you're like DA70 plus for some of these industries, you're not going to show up for it. It's worth having, it's worth having like, what is a website if you're a web developer or whatever, and stuff like that, or how to build your first blog at some point. But you're not going to rank for it straight away. Whereas if you wrote a blog post on how to install and set up Schema markup with 3 WordPress plugins, the people who read that are going to become an affiliate customer almost straight away, because they're ready to take that step, that action, So it's like not really fussed about massive traffic. I'm more focused on focused people who are going to take those actions. And then afterwards expand out content hubs, a lot of link building, creating kind of like link magnet guides. So things that people like to link to a lot, but don't really read. So journalists or peers in an industry often looking for stats. So if you write some kind of guide that's a lot of stats about, say we wrote a guide about the most important on-page optimization things, and we peer reviewed it and we tested it and we put all that out, our readers probably wouldn't care about it too much, but other people in an industry would, and they would link to and reference that again and again and again.
Correct.
So you have this article that gets like 20 visitors a month, but it's got like 600 unique linking domains. That pulls up your DA and the rankings of everything else. So being strategic about pieces of content like that as well, that's the kind of optimization we're looking at for, in terms of like what content to create.
Right. Very interesting. And it's very different from what an SEO would do, right?
Yeah.
And you spoke about intent a lot, and it's still a topic that is like sidelined to some extent. And when you just spoke about, picking keywords with commercial or transactional intent, where the person who's reading the article is like probably 1 or 2 steps away from making a purchase, that really skews the keyword difficulty. And in some cases, like you said, there are some keywords which are very easy to rank for without actively looking for backlinks. Also, when it comes to link building, I feel when you have a great piece of content, you automatically get backlinks. You get natural backlinks, right? And if you're ranking in the top 3 results, you are bound to get natural backlinks. So that's also, great piece of content is probably the number 1 factor. And link building is still probably very important, but it's not the most important factor anymore. It's how valuable your content is, and if you pick the right keywords, the right intent behind those keywords, that's more important, and that's what you're doing for improving your conversion rate. So that's super interesting.
So like,
sorry.
I might have some competitive content that I don't think I'll rank for, but it'll help make the sale. So say I rank for a different topic that brings traffic in, that is not as competitive and people stay on the site and they look at other assets, it then leads them through to something that's going to help make the sale on automation without me having to be there. Versus I know that piece of content probably won't rank for 5 years, like it won't be on page 1 for that long. But just by having it there, my website will make more sales, because otherwise they're going to get to that point. They're going to look for the next step. I don't have it. My competitor does. All I've done is warm them up and got them excited to buy and then got them somewhere else, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like comparison guides for affiliate marketers. So like best X versus Y, or if you look like certain platform A versus platform B, people who are searching for that are literally about to make a decision and they just want the last information.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many companies don't write that blog post. So MailChimp versus Drip, something like that. It probably only gets 1,000 searches a month, but like probably 400 of those become customers. So it makes no sense for MailChimp not to have that article, or Drip. Always it's always affiliate marketers who write those guides. It just blows my mind that like the marketing teams for these big companies don't see these assets, because it probably will be the highest conversion piece they've got,
Right. Also, I think the reason why companies don't do it is if they do it themselves, then it wouldn't be a very honest confession, right? It's still coming from the company. So an affiliate marketer doing it, and 9 out of 10 times when someone is reading an affiliate post, and if it's well written, then you don't know whether this person is an advocate for the product, right? And that's how you write a good comparison post. You just don't talk about the strengths. You also talk about, the certain weaknesses that a particular tool has. And I've seen that a lot in my affiliate marketing experience. What I've seen is the comparison articles do much better than standalone reviews, right? If I were to write, say, a MailChimp review, that wouldn't get as many conversions as, say, a MailChimp versus ConvertKit article would get. So comparison articles is super important, but at the same time, it has to be well optimized. And obviously, we are talking about conversion here. So it should also be written in a way where you get more conversions for it. So that's a really interesting topic that you brought up.
I'm actually writing one right now. I think you can get away with it, kind of, if it's your product and platform, but you really have to be critical of yourself and say what your strengths and weaknesses are. So like right now, our platform compared to other, there's like literally thousands of places where you can learn to code online. If you go to Udemy, there's 10,000 courses on there just for this one programming language alone, which is overwhelming. Which do you choose? So that could be a flaw for Udemy, but also at the same time, you can get a course for $12. Whereas ours, we only have 49 courses, but we cut a lot of bloat out to get people hired, because that's our main focus. Is we don't want to teach you absolutely everything about a language, because you don't need to know it all and you never will be able to. We want to teach you that 80%. So it, like, we've had people hired by at Twitter within 3 months of like learning to code, and they were a waiter before that. Things like, so like you can say we don't have as much information, but there's a reason behind it. We cut all that out to get you a job. We're those people. If you want a lot of stuff and a lot of options and a buffet, go to that competitor. We totally agree that they do have a lot more stuff. So it is a tightrope to kind of manage writing it about yourself.
It is a tightrope to manage. And my impression of this comes from a very disingenuous page that I saw a while back. And again, this was from a company for which I was writing a comparison article. And their article was ranking on page 3, right? And like you said, it's important to be self-critical. And these companies don't tend to criticize their own product or be a little self-critical. So that's something that they should do, because that comes across as honest and trustworthy, right? If someone is signing up for a product, they would like to know what it is that they're signing up for and what are the features and benefits they're missing out on. So if someone can be very candid about this when it comes to compiling a post or a comparison page where you have a chart, that would serve them much better. I'm pretty sure you've been in the conversion game for such a long time, so I'm pretty sure you can create a piece of content that will get you better conversions.
Yeah, I'm no one's perfect at it, but you'll get some more than you would, and
Right.
at the very least, people will trust you more, even if they don't become a customer. Like, if someone else that they know needs that particular thing, they'll recommend you, because they'll be like, those guys weren't the ones for me, but I think they would be great for you because you want this thing and you want to learn fast and you want to get paid, kind of thing, or whatever it is that your strength is that you're pointing out, and you've shown your weakness and stuff like that. But yeah, it can be difficult if you just sit there and say we're the best at this and the best at that and these guys suck. Again, as affiliate marketers, though, if it's not your product, you can put links for both products and you can get paid for whichever one they decide.
Yeah, true. And affiliate marketing tactic that I would share is to be completely candid when it comes to your experience with the product, because you're trying to convince a reader, and sometimes when they see a review that's not very sincere, they can probably judge it from your writing right away. So that's something that you wouldn't want to do. You have to be very sincere when it comes to writing reviews or comparison posts or anything that you do when it comes to writing affiliate articles. Now, getting back to conversion, every piece of content that you publish should have some form of a conversion path in mind, right? So what are some of the points to consider when optimizing content for better conversions? If you can just share 3 of your top points to consider.
All right, so I actually used to work for a conversion rate optimization tool. It's a software called Convert. It's one of the biggest and oldest in the world. So I actually did a lot on CRO for a long time. Ironically, user experience, page load time, speed to load the page, stuff like that is the biggest thing that will affect your conversions than anything else. Literally, if you run a mobile lightweight theme, get a CDN, WP Rocket, something like that, if you're on WordPress, your rankings will go up without even any more links, just because like your page load speed goes up, because Google checks this as well. You will get more sales because people bounce if it takes like more than 5 seconds to load. At one point, I think my sales page was 26 seconds to load, because it's massive. It's like 30,000 words, 3 videos, testimonials. I managed to get it to load in like 0.8 of a second, just by like improving the theme, and my conversion rate doubled, like insane. It affects content, it affects everything else. So yeah, removing bloat and things like that, getting a fast site load speed. Then remove distractions. Don't have like multiple calls to action in the header. Don't have a pop-up for something else immediately. It blows my mind why if someone's on a page and they start loading, all of a sudden a pop-up comes up, it jumps them to the top and it makes them an offer for something. You've just taken me out of that. You've just taken me out of the moment, right? So it's like, ideally, I want you to, if you're reading this on your phone, waiting for a bus, I want you to miss your bus. I want the bus to drive past because you're too focused on this thing, I want to pull you down the page. So I do a lot of customer research, and I find out the pain points in certain areas. I find the struggles that people have had, and I try and pull that through in the content, because then it feels like it's for them and it moves them along. And I also know what I need to include to actually help them get past those points, So I'll jump on Skype with people and things like that. I'll do a lot of research. I'll look in Reddit forums, whatever else if I need to, and learn as much as I can about the thing that I'm writing this piece of content on to get them through it. You remove those distractions, understand the audience, speed up the page, and a final bonus one, have a call to action. People don't have calls to action. Like, they forget to put them in. They either put in like 5 or 6 different competing ones, or they don't have one. Have one, do it 3 times. Click here to go check this out. Oh, by the way, you can check this out here. At the end, check this out here. People forget that they've even seen a call to action. So you got to ask them multiple times. But if you're asking them multiple times for multiple different things, it's a paradox of choice, and they just get confused and they don't take any action. You can see conversion rate just drop when there's too many options. Udemy, 10,000 courses on one language. People are only going to pick the top 3 with the most views. The rest of them are just going to get very, very little, unless it's like a special offer or something like that. Same as your blog post, Click here for a cheat sheet of how to do this. I actually put all this together in a sheet with on-page optimization and schema. You can get it here, this and this, just remind them and your conversion rate. I think my lowest conversion rate on an article is 26%, and one of them is like 74% opt-in rate.
Wow. And what article was this? What was your end objective for this article?
I just want them to become a subscriber. So my paid ads one we were talking about, where it's like a checklist of like how to set up your paid ads and things like that. It's usually the next step that they want to take. So if I had a cheat sheet right now, if I was trying to get subscribers, I would have already made like an on-page optimization and schema and plugins that I could pitch. I don't have anything of that ready because it's not what I'm trying to do. But if I had that, and we've just talked about this, and you see the value, you immediately want to do that. Your listeners right now are probably already Googling it of how to set these things up, right? So if you transcribe this post, you should put one of these in there, you should put like a call to action or whatever underneath the podcast or whatever. If it's the next step they want to take and you've got them excited, you pre-frame them ready, give them that action, because if you don't, they'll go somewhere else. Same as having that piece of conversion content that if it might not rank, but if you don't have it, they'll go somewhere else for it,
Right. True. And page experience is such an important topic that you brought up. And that's something that was implemented last year, if I'm not mistaken. And I just came across these couple of statistics, which will probably illustrate how important page speed is. So one of them is that 62% of people are less likely to make a purchase on your site if your site provides a bad mobile experience, and even worse, 40% of them are likely to go to a competitor's site if your page speed is slow or your user experience is not up to the mark. So thank you for illustrating that point. And also I was, like I said, I was guilty of using pop-ups, and I was guilty of using a lot of widgets and all that. So I've disabled them completely on mobile devices, because on mobile screen, when you have such small real estate, and if you have a pop-up there or a widget there, that's going to be like super distracting, and you wouldn't want to have your visitors leave your site. That leads to pogo sticking, and you'll see a drop in your rankings right away. Core Web Vitals, again, Core Web Vitals is something that you should take a look at, and Page Speed Insights is a tool that you should probably revisit every once in a while, because you'll see your Core Web Vitals score changing. And if you are failing that test, then it's very important for you to pass that test, take the steps to pass that test, so that your rankings don't drop, and in fact your rankings improve subsequently when you do all those things. So Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show, and it's always good to have you as a guest on my podcast. And I'm sure our listeners had a ton of takeaways on conversion rate optimization today. So thank you so much for taking the time out to be on our show. And to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Dan, if you have a website or a course where you'd like people to sign up, this is the time for you to talk about your CTA. So please go ahead and share that.
So I blog at ampmycontent.com, and I have a writing academy where I talk about how to actually strategize and create content assets and promote and distribute content so that you can get more traffic. And like at one point, I think I did $40,000 in sales with just 8 blog posts. Having the right content is important. But yeah, ampmycontent.com. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here. And I look forward to doing it again sometime in the future.
Yeah, likewise, Dan. I mean, it's always good to have you back on the show, and we hope we keep having you in the future as well, and we can explore more topics. Thank you to all the listeners as well for tuning in, and I'll see you soon on the next episode.